News later, but now yachting and the Vauxhall Ultra 30 Grand Prix. 6 boats will compete in the series, all identical, 30-foot long and capable of reaching speeds of up to 25 knots. Well, this is the first of 4 rounds, and reporting from Southampton is Helen Rollison.
No, jive, one! Help Mark if he has. Here we go.
He's a perfectionist, a demanding helmsman, but it's what makes Laurie Smith Britain's leading yachtsman. For the last 3 years, the Ultra 30 series has belonged to him, but the challenge to win the Grand Prix trophy is as great as ever.
That was last year. This year the competition has hotted up even more. The boat's changed a little bit, but the skipper hasn't. Laurie Smith is the man that they're all gunning for still, even more so this year because of his involvement in the Whitbread Round the World race. Laurie, you've done so many things in your career as a sailor. Why is the Ultra 30 so important to you?
We get more fun out of sailing this than most of the boats. Very quick racing, you know, the racing lasts half an hour rather than, you know, a couple of weeks. They're just very exciting boats to sail, and obviously, you know, they're high performance, big dinghies really, and you need to be pretty good to sail them, which is why the standard of this fleet is quite high. You know, there's most of the helmsmen have, in all the boats, and a lot of the crews have all won world championships, national championships, been to the Olympics. You know, it's the top end of the sport.
So the first of the Ultra 30 regattas starts here in Southampton, where the winds and the gusts make it a very exciting start to the season. Just like last year, there are 6 races per weekend and 4 venues in all. And with a very tight course and extremely fast boats, anything can happen.
Like the wind suddenly dropping and giving the crews of the 6 identical racing machines an unwelcome rest. The light winds meant that only one of the 6 races was possible on the first day, and in his new boat, Frontiera, it was Laurie Smith who struck the first blow. But there was evidence that the series, with so many top Olympic and World Championship sailors on board, would be more competitive, and Smith would not have it all his own way.
He can be caught, yes. Yeah, whether he will be or not, I don't know, but he definitely can be caught. We were beating him towards the end of last year, not consistently enough. We just have to put those, start off where we finished last year and move forward from there and start beating him consistently.
We had good racing last year, but we made little mistakes just near the end at critical times. We've got to stop those little mistakes and keep up the overall boat speed, and we should be right there.
Aussie Stewart, Olympic bronze medalist with Smith in Barcelona, was another of last year's skippers, finishing 4th. He knows the difficulties of coordinating the efforts of 9 sailors on an unstable boat. Many of the 52 men and 2 women taking part are familiar with Ultra 30 racing, but 2 skippers made their debut, experienced internationals Glyn Charles and Roger Yeoman.
I was given a sort of a blank sheet of paper with which to start in terms of the crew list, and what I did was I just recruited a completely new crew, barring Chewy, the boatman, of course, who's totally indispensable. But we just recruited a whole new set of guys, largely from a dinghy sailing background, because this is essentially, as you can see, just a big dinghy.
The calm conditions suddenly changed on day 2, and it was all hands to the racks to be sure of completing 5 races. The short Ultra 30 course is very close to the shore and set so that the boats must tack into the wind to the top mark and use their huge colourful jennikers on the leg to the bottom mark, passing through the centre gate on each leg. Conditions were perfect for spectacular racing off the pierhead of Southampton Dock, and the fleet of 6 manoeuvred into position for race 2. 3 skippers misjudged the start, getting over the line before the gun was fired. DBS, Rockport and BT Marine all had to come back to restart. It gave the other boats plenty of time to get away. Frontiera headed the 3, although Sign-Maker was first to tack, after Frontiera momentarily lost speed. Frontiera quickly recovered and just scraped round the top mark ahead of Roland Sign-Maker. Pete Newlands had to settle for 2nd place, while Smith sailed well clear to hold on to the lead. A familiar pattern was emerging. Last year, Smith capitalised on others' mistakes throughout the series, so something special was called for the chasing pack in race 3. With the wind having picked up to 12 knots, we join our race commentator, Phil Jones.
So with just seconds to go to the start here, we can see Glyn Charles at the right-hand end of the line. He jibes BT Marine round into that gap, but coming in on the non-right-of-way tack is Rockport. There goes the gun, and Rockport will have to keep clear of BT Marine at this stage. BT Marine forced high and very, very close to Rockport there at the start. Wouldn't be surprised to see Glyn Charles tacking off. Yep, there he goes. Crew across the boat. Glyn out to the right-hand side of the course. The rest of the fleet go left. And during the pre-start manoeuvres, it looks like our camera's taken a knock there on board Laurie Smith's boat. Glyn Charles still going right. He'll be on the extreme right of the course now, and that's quite a risk with everybody else going left. Laurie Smith now looking to tack back for the mark. And there they go, crew moving across the boat as one. There you can see Rockport tacking as well, heading back towards the centre of the course. Laurie Smith calling for speed there. You do need to squeeze every ounce out of these boats. DBS here, well placed.
Yeah. Can we concentrate on this tacking, please? Come on.
The tactical move to the right-hand side of the course actually paid off for Glyn Charles as he rounds the first mark in the lead at this stage. Frontera in from the left and DBS below them, and they'll be looking shortly to tack for the mark. Russell Peters looking over his shoulder there to see when he can go. BT Marine got that Jenica drawing now, and they'll be looking to extend the lead. On board now with Russell Peters, so he tacks for the mark. Not a bad tack, keeping the boat flat as they come through it. Laurie Smith here making his move on Frontera now. Boats tacked, nice gentle movements from the crew there, not wanting to rock the boat too much. This wind's still reasonably light. BT Marine safely ahead, Rockport there round in second, and Barbary Team Birmingham in third. Laurie Smith though hard on the heels as he rounds in fourth place. Rockport having some difficulty there with the purple Jenica as it's hoisted. Jibing back to come to the right hand side of the course, but that's Russell Peters. Yeah, DBS there had right of way, and the flag going up on DBS indicates the protest. Away from the mark though comes Barbary Team Birmingham in third place. Meanwhile, Aussie Stewart appears to have recovered his composure from that incident. Rockport making their way down the run. Laurie Smith here on the right hand side of the course. Looks to have good speed at this point, but the wind dying slightly there. Barbary Team Birmingham now jibing back. Remember, they have to go through the gate in the middle of this course, and number 2 there, Chewy, the boatman, working hard to pull that huge Jenica across the boat. Frontera carries on to the right-hand side, and he'll have to jibe soon to get back through this gate in good time. And he doesn't appear to have left this very late. Calling for the Jenica to be flogged after the jibe.
Flog it! Proper course!
And here we can see why, shouting proper course at. That's Rockport there, come down with good speed in a gust. And Rockport now must keep clear. And that green flag means they've done so successfully, so both boats negotiating the gate there. Aussie Stewart keeping a close eye on Laurie Smith below him. Good speed though from Rockport, and they're over the top of Frontera at this stage and through into third place. On board now with Russell Peters.
Here's Nick, come on Nick, keep it moving, it should be curling all the time.
Russell there calling for good trim, and he's got it. That's superb sailing, going a lot faster than both Frontera and Rockport now. Right over the top of Rockport, and they'll be looking now to jibe back for the bottom mark. There they go, across the boat.
Wait up! Wait up!
Good view there of the three boats as they come into the bottom mark, and this is going to be close.
Let it go, let it go, let it go!
Russell Peters there, too much power, having to let the sail flog.
Windward boat! Windward boat! Close flag in, David!
Making it very clear that he thinks Rockport should be keeping clear at this stage. Flag is going up on both boats. Laurie Smith there calling for the drop early.
Water, drop it, go!
Russell Peters calling water at this mark. That means he thinks he's established an overlap inside. Rockport here will have to give him room. Jenica coming down on DBS, leaving that drop very late as the boat's round the mark. And all this duelling has let BT Marine get away. Barbary in second, DBS third.
Right with his cleat, that windward sheet all.
Harden up round the mark. Rockport fourth.
Ready about.
And as they come round the mark in 5th place, Laurie Smith calling for the tack to clear his wind and sail over to the right-hand side of the course. But Rockport, Ozzy Stewart, not prepared to let him get away. He goes with him. Laurie Smith, though, with good speed after the tack, pulling away. Meanwhile, further up the course, Glyn Charles be very happy with the duelling going on behind him, because that'll let him sail his own race. Obviously, Barbary Team Birmingham to worry about, and the other new boy, Roger Yeoman, sailing that boat. Glyn here with a good firm lead. On the left-hand side of the course, the battles between Laurie Smith on Frontera and his Olympic crewmate, Ozzy Stewart.
Okay, keep going.
Laurie looking for speed to get over the top of Rockport as they come through the gate.
Keep jib a little. Keep speed on now, come on.
Calling for the sails to be eased to get maximum speed here. Crew all hiked out on the rail.
Easy ahead!
Laurie, they really does need to know the position of Rockport at this stage to find out what sort of defensive action Rockport can take, if any. Both boats successfully through the gates. This is a really close duel. Meanwhile,
smoother, guys. That wasn't nearly as good as the one on the wall.
On board with Russell Peters, calling for smooth attacks. Russell Peters has had a good tactical race here, well placed around the mark in 3rd. But BT Marine's already there in the lead. Crew up to get the boat flat as they bear off around the mark. The battle's still very close though between Frontera furthest away from us and Ozzy Stewart on Rockport nearest the camera. BT Marine though, Jenica up at this stage.
Hoist too early.
Ahead of Russell Peters is Barbary Team Birmingham. They're around that top mark.
Reasonably flat path.
Russell Peters calling for the boat to be kept flat as they round the mark. Laurie Smith calling for water for something here. And that's why, that's Roland Sign-Maker. They've come in from the right-hand side of the course. Very good sailing there from Pete Newlands. Laurie Smith and Ozzy Stewart there, tagged for the mark, almost as one. Meanwhile, already there is Russell Peters in 3rd place.
Yep.
He's trailed by Pete Newlands in 4th.
Go! Well done.
Good hoist there from DBS, but BT Marine there jibing in what looks to be quite light winds now, allowing Barbary Team Birmingham to close in a gust. BT Marine with breeze again now, but that's certainly allowed Barbary to close the gap. And these gusty and shifty conditions proving very challenging for the two new skippers out in front at the moment. Barbary Team Birmingham there with what looks to be slightly more wind. Yes, they come up on the outside as they go through the gates. Good speed there from Roger Yeoman and the boys on board Barbary. Straight the way through there and staying in that gust. You can see the difference in speed at this stage. Barbary now looking to jibe back towards the bottom mark, and they do so, and BT Marine slowed right down. They haven't got the wind that Barbary have got. Jibing now, and you can see the difference in speed there as Barbary go right around the outside and take the lead. Great piece of sailing there from Roger Yeoman, kept his cool all the way through there, and very little that Glyn Charles could do about it. Those Jenicas coming down early as they approach that bottom mark, and the lead changes hands. Barbary Team Birmingham through into 1st place as they round the bottom mark, and that's a good drop from this crew. Remember, they haven't been working together too long, and that's good sailing. Equally good on BT Marine here as that Jenica huge sail comes down into the boat for them to start the next leg.
Come down, Paul!
Things not looking quite so good here for Russell Peters on DBS. Craig Nutter there working hard to get that sail down.
Come on, that was awful.
Yeah, you can't disagree with that, I'm afraid. Bad drop there from the experienced crew.
Nick, you let the sheet go again. Think all the time.
Russell Peters really does need concentration on board if he's going to maintain 3rd place. In 4th, Roland Sign-Maker maintaining their position. And across the bows there of Rockport goes Frontera. They sail through into 5th place, leaving Ozzy Stewart now bringing up the rear in Rockport. Laurie Smith wanting the pole away. And problems here for Ozzy Stewart as he rounds the mark. That sail under the boat, and that's the quickest way to stop an Ultra 30. Really very hard work to recover that sail now for the Rockport crew. Pete Newlands and Laurie Smith, even in the relatively light winds, pulling away now, and that could be the end of this one for Rockport. Glyn Charles getting a bit between his teeth again, now in second place as they make their way up the course. And that's Barbary Team Birmingham coming in on the right-of-way tack. Good sailing there from Roger Yeoman as they cross ahead of BT Marine, and Roger will be just looking to hold this position now. And as BT Marine passes through the gate, Roger will be looking to stay between Glyn Charles and the next mark. Good tactical sailing here from Roger Yeoman on Barbary Team Birmingham. Russell Peters in third place, and he'll be keeping a close eye on the duel ahead, hoping that those two will slow each other down, but there's no sign of that on board BT Marine. They tack to break the cover of Barbary Team Birmingham. Crew out, all on the rack there to keep the boat flat, and there you can see them passing behind Barbary Team Birmingham, who will now sail to a line where they can round that mark. Here they go, crew across the boat. Roger Yeoman tacking the boat there for the mark. The final approach now. 2 more tacks required on BT Marine. And as Roger comes into that mark on the right-of-way tack, round with a reasonable lead in first place. Glyn Charles here tacking in second, and good example there of tactics from both helmsmen. Sailed that leg very well. Roger Yeoman has that Jenica up and drawing in a gust, making his way down the course.
Work it flat, guys.
BT Marine set now.
We'll get the tip speed on.
Russell Peters asking for speed as they round the mark now in third. Some kind of problem there with the Jenica, a little bit of a delay at this point. You can see the boys at the front working hard, and up it goes now.
Go on, Lloyd, go on, Lloyd. Go on, go. Pull the pitch, get it back straight. Well done.
Good work there from the crew in the end, got that set nicely. Bit of a delay, but not too much damage done. Glyn Charles jibing the boat back to come through the gate. Still in second place, looking to pick up any gust to close on Barbary Team Birmingham, but they've got a good lead there. BT Marine here having to defend their position against Russell Peters. Russell there jibing to get on top of BT Marine, but there the ominous white Jenica pole of Frontera as they come into shot. Good speed in the gust there, and there's Laurie Smith on the outside. All 3 boats now in contention for second place, and it's going to be a battle royal as they round this bottom mark. On board Russell Peters now, probably doing about 15 knots at this stage. There's second, third and fourth, and it's that close. Russell Peters there making clear there's no overlaps as far as he's concerned. Glyn Charles jibing early, he'll drop that Jenica as they jibe, as does Russell Peters. Russell Peters asking for the jib to be eased, but BT Marine is inside, and round the mark in second place. Great piece of sailing there by all 3 skippers. There's Laurie Smith in Frontera coming right round the outside here, taking the Great Arc route.
Go on, wait. Go now.
And Russell Peters on DBS, tacking the boat to the left-hand side of the course, looking for clear air. The other boats in contention making their way out to the right-hand side. And BT Marine here with a cover on Frontera, so Laurie Smith tacking. He'll be keen to break this, keen to throw off the attentions of Glyn Charles, who tacks now to go back across the course with Laurie Smith. And Laurie Smith tacking again here, just to throw that cover.
Come on, Roller, get it together.
But ahead of this duel is Roger Yeoman in Barbary Team Birmingham, tacking to round the mark. And there goes the gun for the finish, just this last leg to sail. BT Marine appear to have successfully fended off the attentions of Laurie Smith on Frontera. But there's a problem there with Barbary Team Birmingham. The Jenica's in the water, they'd run over it during the hoist. That's always a danger with such a big sail. BT Marine then round in second place at the moment, but that will really have slowed down Barbary. Russell Peters there calling for water to go behind Frontera as Frontera sails around the mark now in third place. And Barbary Team Birmingham still struggling with that Jenica, still in the water, coming out now. But BT Marine taking full advantage. They've got the Jenica up, drawing and in a gust. And really one has to feel for Roger Yeoman here, being engulfed by the rest of the boats. He's done everything but cross to the finish line in first place. But Glyn Charles here has taken really full advantage of that mistake, and as he crosses the finish line to win his first ever Ultra 30 race, the crew will be happy with that. Roger Yeoman still has problems with this man. Laurie Smith on Frontera, closing fast. Would he close fast enough? It looks like Roger Yeoman's just going to hang on to second place. Yep, there's the gun. Laurie Smith takes third. And a promising show, but disappointing result for Russell Peters there.
I really wanted to bet. Well done, chap.
So the lead constantly changed in a race where the time lapse between first and sixth place was only 40 seconds. Newcomer Glyn Charles records his first victory, and Roger Yeoman, also in his first season, is second. Unusually for the sport of sailing, the spectators are close enough to feel part of the dramatic incidents, and there were plenty in the next two races. 5 of the boats were chaotically close in the opening stages of race 4, but as ever, Laurie Smith had gone his own way using the right-hand side of the course and led from start to finish. A big gust of wind caught Pete Newlands unaware, and Signmaker capsized at the bottom mark, with Rockport having to take evasive action. Glyn Charles and BT Marine were also in trouble, dropping the Jenica into the water. Although these boats are light and built for speed, it's a tough task to right an Ultra 30 with its Jenica full of water. At one stage in the 5th race, BT Marine were leading, but couldn't hold it, and then a huge gust hit the fleet. Rockport capsized, followed by BT Marine. The key to a quick recovery was for all the crew to get outside of the boat onto the daggerboard. Glyn Charles had his work cut out, but by now tensions were running high.
Throw it over the side. Give it here. We'll give it to these people.
The Jenica torn to shreds, but luckily for Russell Peters, the rules do allow for a replacement during the race. By contrast, Smith made it look easy. He'd taken the lead by the first mark, produced an excellent hoist to reply to the challenge of BT Marine on the 3rd leg, and sailed to his 4th victory of the weekend to capture the regatta. Many of the crews had put in a lot of practice, hoping to steal a march on Laurie Smith while he was away on the Whitbread Round the World race, but his experience keeps him top, while the real tussle goes on for second place. In the final race, Aussie Stewart on Rockport set off on the favoured right-hand side of the course. Any one of 4 boats had a chance of the overall runner-up spot. Smith had his worst race of the weekend. Phil Jones picks up the final stages.
Aussie Stewart really here has got the best possible start across the whole of the fleet, and Laurie Smith in Frontera was the best of the rest. He's in second place, while DBS Rounds in third, close behind him. Smith finally getting that Jenica up to the top of the mast, and DBS will be looking for a quick hoist here, but round in 4th place is Roland Signmaker, and here's Barbary Team Birmingham in 5th. Smith's crew concentrating hard on this leg down to the bottom mark, moving across the boat there to keep it flat, and keeping that Jenica full. Very close racing at this stage, and Pete Newlands here doing his best to close the gap. Very often on this leg of the course, the boats behind having the advantage, taking the wind of those in front. That means they're nearly always closed up by the bottom mark. And Pete Newlands here in Roland Signmaker, reluctant to try and pass DBS at this stage. He knows what would happen. DBS would defend his position, and that I think would slow them both down. So Pete Newlands holding back. Everybody waiting here. Who's going to drop these Jenicas first?
Easy, Robert.
Tactician Andrew Priest there looking for the overlap. And no overlap established there. Frontera clear ahead of DBS as they approach this bottom mark.
Okay, go for it. Go. Drop.
Russell Peters first to call the drop there.
Dive drop. Wait up.
Laurie Smith calls for the jibe drop. He'll jibe and drop the set at the same time.
Driving.
Meanwhile, Russell Peters jives to follow Laurie Smith towards the mark, and round in first place though is Rockport. Good lead now there for Aussie Stewart as Laurie Smith holds off DBS at this 3rd mark. And this is important for Russell Peters. He needs to stay in 3rd. Good rounding from Laurie Smith, equally good from Russell Peters. But right behind him in 4th place is Pete Newlands on Roland Signmaker.
Also all heeled over.
Russell Peters there, over to the left-hand side of the course to sail for clear air. Laurie Smith here appears to be relaxing very slightly, if anything dropping back on this leg. And we can see there Roland Sign-Maker has actually got through DBS, DBS passing behind Roland Sign-Maker, now tacking underneath Laurie Smith. And this is a real tactical battle now. Russell Peters is enjoying the close attentions of Laurie Smith, but Russell Peters, if anything, has just stolen it there. Rockport still in the lead as Barbary Team Birmingham coming across from the left-hand side, outspeeding Auguste there. Laurie Smith there attacking to take advantage of the same gust, but Barbary with good speed over the top of Laurie Smith.
Come on, hi, Kit.
Laurie Smith calling for more weight on the racks there. Gathers speed again now and sails out from underneath. Good work there from the Frontera crew. This, though, is the battle for second overall. Pete Newlands and Roland Sign-Maker appear to have the drop on DBS at this stage, and it's going to the wall here as they approach the last mark in the last race. Either of those boats could finish second. Barbary Team Birmingham tacks for the mark, and there's the battle for second place between DBS and Roland Sign-Maker. DBS just appears to have it as they approach the last mark to the finish. Rockport already round at this stage, but DBS there in second. Pete Newlands in third, both looking for a quick hoist at this stage. This is critical. DBS's Jenica up there, slight twist there for Roland Sign-Maker. Meanwhile, Philanis on Frontera getting their huge red Jenica up and drawing. And as DBS lead the pack away from that mark, it's Rockport who've led from start to finish, who take line honours. Third different winner of the weekend, and delight for the crew of Rockport. But that's a bad jibe from Roland Sign-Maker. Slow to get the Jenica full, and it looks as if Russell Peters can hang on here. Celebration at the gun for DBS ahead of Roland Sign-Maker in third.
Russell, a lovely bit of excitement to finish the day.
A very exciting finish. We were comfortably in second for the start of the last race, and then we lost it a bit around the middle, trying to be too conservative. We knew what we had to do to come second, and then we let the two boats through that we had to beat, and just got them through, just got back through them just towards the end. So although we haven't sailed well, the result of second is quite pleasing. We've got a lot of improvement to come.
Grand Prix, Laurie Smith.
Every boat led a race at some time during the first Grand Prix, and place changes were frequent. Laurie Smith dominated Southampton, but the unpredictability of the high-performance ultras guarantees a tense and exciting struggle.